I'm Kat Weisbrod, and today we're going to be reading Honk in the City. In this Choose Your Own Adventure book, there's over 40 ways to read the story. So each time you read it, you're in for a treat because you can go on different adventures with the goose. And this time you get to choose what the goose does. One day, a goose was flying when he heard loud noises below. He decided to see what was causing all the commotion. The goose landed on a busy street. He heard honking and many loud sounds. He saw tall buildings, cars, and people everywhere he looked. Should he honk back at the cars? Turn to page 5. Should he take a taxi? Turn to page 7. So why don't we have him take a taxi this time? So we're going to turn to page 7. The goose saw a taxi with its back window open. He quietly climbed inside. Then a lady got in the car too. The taxi drove around while the goose looked at all the tall buildings. The taxi finally stopped and the lady got out. The goose climbed out too. He thanked the driver. Honk! Turn to page 15. As the goose walked around the city, he saw a girl painting on a brick wall. He liked all the colors that he saw on the wall and in the buckets on the ground. Should he help her paint? Turn to page 17. Should he play with the buckets of paint? Turn to page 19. I think I'm going to be a naughty goose and I'm going to have him play with the buckets of paint. So let's turn to page 19. Uh-oh, what did he do? The goose dipped his wings in the buckets of paint. It made his feathers so pretty. He flapped his wings and soon the buckets of paint tipped over and made the ground colorful too. The girl didn't seem too happy about the mess, so she shooed him away. The goose wondered what other fun things he could do. Turn to page 21. The goose had fun painting, but he was feeling pretty hungry. He turned the corner and smelled something delicious across the street. What's delicious across the street? It looks like there's a hot dog vendor right there. So what should he do? Should he take the hot dog and eat it? Turn to page 23. Should he take the hot dog and share it? Turn to page 25. Well, I was naughty last time, so this time I think I'm going to have him share the hot dog. So let's turn to page 25. The goose went to a park to enjoy his hot dog. There he saw a group of hungry pigeons. He decided to share his hot dog with them. After he and the pigeons gobbled up the hot dog, he continued on his way. Turn to page 33. So here he is with his little pigeon friends that he made, sharing his hot dog. Let's turn to page 33. Oops. There we go. At the park, he saw a couple having a picnic. He liked picnics. He was eyeing a sandwich on a plate when a bright blue kite caught his eye. It had red ribbons and a long string wound around a spool that looked like fun to pull on. Should he pick up the kite and run with it? Turn to page 35. Should he drop the kite in the lake? Turn to page 37. Well, I just flew a kite the other day, so I kind of want to see what will happen if he picks up the kite and runs with it. So I'm going to turn to page 35. The goose picked up the spool in his bill and waddled. He flapped his wings and ran. He ran so fast that the bright blue kite flew high behind him. He was really proud of himself. He even saw a man running after him, waving his arms and yelling. The goose thought that it was so nice of the man to cheer him on as he flew the kite. Turn to page 43. The goose saw many interesting sights in the city. As he walked, he heard some soulful sounds. He saw a man playing an instrument. The shiny saxophone made a beautiful honking noise, and everyone enjoyed listening to him. Should the goose peek inside the saxophone? Turn to page 45. Should the goose dance to the music? Turn to page 47. I think I'm going to have him peek inside the saxophone, so that's going to be page 45. The goose moved closer to see the shiny saxophone. Curious, he stuck his head inside. The man was surprised and stopped playing. The goose flapped his wings until he was able to get his head unstuck. He decided to keep walking to avoid this sticky situation. Turn to page 67. The goose waddled down the street. He saw a man with a group of dogs walking towards him. The dogs started to sniff the goose as he came closer. The dogs wagged their tails happily. Should he play with the dogs? Turn to page 69. Should he join them on their walk? Turn to page 71. I think I'm going to have him play with the dogs because I like dogs, so I'm going to turn to page 69. The goose walked up to the dogs. The dogs jumped and ran around him, eager to play with their new friend. The goose flapped his wings excitedly and let out a loud honk. The dogs barked back. As the goose and the dogs ran around each other, the man was tangled up in the leashes. The goose had fun playing with the dogs, but needed a break from all the excitement. Turn to page 97. The goose decided he wanted to stretch his wings and fly around for a bit. Through the clouds, he saw something that caught his eye. He saw two big blue airplanes. He wanted to take a closer look. Turn to page 99. The goose saw a man putting bags on a moving ramp that carried the bags onto the plane. The goose climbed onto the ramp to begin his next adventure. So that was just one of the 44 different ways that you can read this book in this new Choose Your Own Adventure book called Honk in the City. So if you want to read more, go check it out on Amazon.com. Thank you.